So my name's Dean Frank. Some of you know me from my past, and basically I came from the precast concrete industry, been in that industry and quality arena for the last 25 years, worked for National Precast Concrete Association, and more recently Precast Pre-Stressed Concrete Institute as the Director of Quality and Sustainability. Last 5 years I worked for myself, Dean Frank Associates, and spent a lot of time in the conformity assessment realm, doing ISO 17025 assessments and testing laboratories, personnel certification bodies, fabricators, precast concrete, structural steel, wood wall panel, and other prefabricated type components. And I have been serving as the Executive Director of NEU for the last 3 months. So welcome and thank you for coming. Folks I don't know if there's room for you at this point, but try and scoot in as much as possible. There's a lot of people in the back trying to get in, so we kind of expected this given the fact that we sold out the lunch. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction to NEU. Who is NEU? We are new, literally, so pun intended. Born out of this global movement, the Paris Agreement. The target is, limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. This is a pretty aggressive thing that we've got to make changes yesterday on, basically. The thing about that agreement is actually legally binding. So the goal for the U.S. anyway is to reduce emissions 50% below 2005 levels by 2030. That's 7 years. I don't know if we're going to get there, but we're going to certainly try. I mean, that's the focus of NEU here. We're all about getting things out the door. So 100% carbon pollution-free electricity by 2035, achieving net zero by 2050. So, sustainability is a pretty big thing. Why do we want to just focus on carbon? Environmental, social, and economic aspects are all the 3 legs of the sustainability stool. So why do we just focus on carbon? I've had that question asked quite a bit. The thing is we do know that carbon shines when it comes to sustainability, especially with respect to resilience, thermal mass, and durability. Those are all stories that we need to continue to tell because it's a good part of the story for concrete. But we also know that global warming affects everyone on the planet. And we know that as an industry, we're in an excellent position to improve upon one area that tends to receive the most negative attention, and that's our CO2 emissions. Finally, we know that we can measure the amount of CO2 within concrete associated with concrete production and cement, but we can't improve something without being able to measure it. So we've got to measure it in order to improve it, and we can do both. So what do we mean by carbon neutrality? The term carbon basically means CO2 emissions associated with cement and concrete released to the atmosphere. Carbon neutral is balancing the carbon emissions with the absorption of carbon from the atmosphere through carbon sequestration, offsets, and sinks. So our sinks are our soils, forests, and oceans. Concrete is also a sink. Maybe we don't get enough credit for that. Carbon offsetting from emissions made in one sector and reducing them elsewhere. So renewable energy, energy efficiency, lowering carbon technologies. And carbon reduction really is necessary to reach neutrality. We can't just rely on offsets. So we know there's a lot of roadmaps out there. Everybody's talking about roadmaps. Everyone's asking us, are we going to have our own roadmap? And I'm not really sure if we will or not, but I can tell you that we need to set a direction as an industry. So we looked at the Global Cement and Concrete Association. They kind of figured out where do we think we need to go. They think the role that each of these different things are going to take place. They think carbon capture, utilization, and storage will be 36% of that strategy. Efficiency in design and construction, 22%, so that's your design optimization, site efficiency, reuse. Clinker production savings, 11%. Efficiency in concrete production, another 11%. Savings in cement binders, basically using SCMs, 9%. Recarbonization, so that's the absorption of carbonization of concrete after it's been placed, and decarbonization of electricity. So there's a lot of different strategies. I think, what's become very clear to me in the short time I've been on board with NEU is that we're not going to rely on one silver bullet. There's not one size that fits all. It's going to be a combination of strategies. So as a professional, what are we supposed to do? There's a lot of information out there. It can be overwhelming. We throw around a lot of acronyms. That gets a little intimidating, right, when you don't know what the acronyms are or the verbiage. There's a lot of claims being made, all right? So this is a picture of low carbon, or now carbon neutral. Chicken enchiladas, guys. Is that in a toaster oven, or is that a gas oven? I don't know. Concrete is a multifaceted industry. We know that there's an association for pretty much every aspect of the concrete industry, so getting us all to sing the same tune is pretty tough. We also know that the degree of knowledge within just the professional community can vary greatly. There's a lot of experts, but there's a lot of folks that just probably know just enough to be dangerous. But we also know that there's a need for accelerated adoption of new materials and technologies. So that's where NEU comes in. ACI came up with the idea of developing NEU. Of course, ACI's influence for cultural change has been demonstrated previously in the past, have over 100 years of leadership. They're not a trade association. That's a really key point. People think that ACI might be a trade association, but this organization does not represent a trade or product. We aren't measured in success by cubic yards placed or dollars spent on a certain product. We are here for the benefit of an industry and a material. We want to see concrete used. So education and training and certification are the hallmarks of ACI. Codes and specifications, of course. Many of us have started our careers at ACI, and they have a strong student and international partnership, over 100 countries. So ACI's got great influence and has incredible credibility. So in their infinite wisdom, they developed NEU. So NEU's been around for basically functional for about a year, being staffed from last summer. So we're still putting things together, so to speak. The organization, our committees, our strategic plan we just finished, our operational plan. And there's a pent-up demand for what we're doing. We've obviously identified that through our strategic plan. So our vision, center envisions a concrete industry where all stakeholders have access to technologies and the knowledge needed to effectively and safely produce and place carbon-neutral concrete and concrete products in the built environment. More succinctly, our mission is to drive education, awareness, and adoption of the use of carbon-neutral concrete materials and technologies. So this organization is all about action. We're about implementation. We're not here as an academic organization to do research and stick that research on the shelf. We need to get stuff out on the street in the market and used now, and that's the point of NEU. So our core functions, first and foremost, our material and technology validation and verification program. Our strategic plan identified that as the top need right now. And I'll talk more about that this afternoon during the afternoon session. Tech transfer, obviously, if we identify technologies and materials that we know that are going to be beneficial, let's get it out and transfer it into the marketplace and accelerate its implementation. Advocacy and tech support, so obviously we're going to have to be involved with the codes and standards. ACI committee assistance, there's a ton of activity here, especially related to carbon neutrality and the committees and in the technical sessions. We're trying to pay attention to all that and help be a champion for all those groups. Training and professional development, once we identify these things, we've got to teach people how to use it and get the designers accustomed and comfortable with those technologies. And of course, advance those materials on an international level because of course global issues, climate issues are global. So we can't just do it ourselves here. So the membership of NEU is kind of interesting. NEU's membership work. Our membership is organizations as opposed to ACI. ACI is mostly individual, although they do have organizational members. The thing that's cool about NEU anyway is we've got members from both the supply and demand side. So ACI is our founding member, of course, but our other members include Meta. We all know who Meta is, right? Facebook. Breakthrough Energy, maybe you're not familiar with Breakthrough Energy, but this is one of Bill Gates' projects. So very important people in the industry, Meta especially, setting very aggressive goals, maybe more aggressive than other organizations, and they're demanding that we identify these technologies, and they want our validation program now, and we're going to deliver. Baker Construction, of course, is another supporting member of our NEU. Then we have 9 affiliate members with actually 1 applicant, Ecosem, that will be added to this list as well, so 10. Several more that are coming on board imminently. So if you're interested in membership, come to our booth, and we'll get you signed up. So we have a number of allied organizations, and these are folks that are like NGOs or government organizations, folks that are mission aligned that maybe aren't in a position to pay money to be a member, but obviously we want to coordinate with. So that would include like folks like ICCES, the Inter-American Cement Federation, Concrete Innovation Hub in Chile, ASTM International, NRMCA, CP Tech Center. We were also talking to folks at PCA and the American Concrete Pavement Association, among others. So if you're interested in working with us and helping us spread the message, please see us. Again, come to our booth. We do have a great team, so I'm not the only one on the team here. So Dr. Andrea Shocker is on our team. If you don't know her, you should introduce yourself to her. Kelly Dudley, she's the Assistant Executive Director. Most of us are in the room here, so introduce yourself. Dr. Sarika Sumanasuria, our Technical Director, and I have to thank her especially for putting together today's sessions. She did an excellent job in coordinating with our speakers, so thank you, Sarika. Carrie Moosman, our Director of Marketing. And then the position that I filled previously, the Director of Validation, I can now say that we will have that filled on May 1st. So, and I believe that gentleman is in the room, Amut. I hope you don't mind me calling you out, but we look forward to you coming on board. So thank you, and we're going to do a lot of good things for the industry. So that's our team. We thank you for being here.